Back in the hills of West Virginia, the only shows I had access to was the Discovery Channel and PBS Kids. But when my grandfather Reginald visited me for the first time since the divorce, he showed me some of the greatest movies of all time. And I will show you as well the greatness that I witnessed 69 years ago. Battle of Gods. This movie is the introduction to Akira Toriyama's favorite cat, Miller Lite. Miller Lite has a dream that one day another bread beverage will rise up and give him a challenge. The name of this beverage is cherry flavored Bud Light. The only problem is that a cherry flavored Bud Light was only a myth, with the only possible trace of it being the vegetable race. So Miller Lite must set his sight on Sean Schimmel's planet to ask Goku about the cherry-flavored Bud Light to see if he can uncover the legend. Unfortunately, Goku knows little to nothing about drinking, but what he does know is that he wants to try it for the first time. He is super confident in the power of his Super Liver 3, but unfortunately, Miller Lite was just too much for him, and he got hungover before Monday night. So Miller Lite sets his sights on the rest of the vegetables on Earth. So to keep the Earth safe from hangovers, Sean Schimmel warns Vegeta about the potential dangers of Miller Lite, which gives him a PTSD flashback to a time where his alcoholic father was crashing out at Fighter Z's latest update. Now, it is up to Vegeta to keep the Earth safe, no matter the cost. This was the only actual plot point we actually care about in this movie. Nobody cares about the peel-off Pat gang, let's just be real here. But in case you want a summary, Trunks basically gets groomed by a 49-year-old Snow White. You're welcome. But in the middle of their shenanigans, they accidentally hit Miller Lite with a virtual game card, which understandably enrages him. So to save the situation, Vegeta gets up on stage to perform Bingo!
Bingo! Stupid Earth games! My time bingo! Ha!
And despite the absurdity, it actually worked. Miller Lite was calmed down, and Vegeta can finally catch his breath. But this doesn't last for long, because Miller Lite suddenly wants to try pudding. Trust me, bro, it is really not that good. The only problem is that fat, greedy bastard is hawking all of it to himself. Hey, as long as he doesn't eat all the mozzarella sticks, I'm fine personally. And as a result, the destruction of Earth is initiated all over pudding. So Chris Sabat, along with the other Z Fighters, attempt to stop Miller Lite, but get folded instantly by his sexy back. So Vegeta, the final thing standing in the way of Miller Lite, must find a way to put this dude down once and for all. I mean, are we really surprised at this point? This dude has the same win ratio as the Jets! And no, beating the Lorax does not count as a win. But what Vegeta does manage to do is briefly tap into his beginner's luck when Bulma gets slapped, and does not achieve Super Saiyan 3, but is apparently stronger than Goku in this moment. Speaking of Goku, he finally shows up after Miller Lite beat Mill Valley Bacon at Paper, Rock, Scissors, and proposes an idea for Miller Lite to finally meet the cherry-flavored Bud Light by summoning Chris Sabat. By summoning Chris Sabat, they can find out the secret method to making the greatest beer of all time. What they discover is that they need to summon all the vegetables together into a ninja blender to make a singular fruit juice. And after a bit of trial and error and premature berries being added to the mix, holy shit, my uterus has blue flames in it. Fidel, check out my prostate! They successfully summon the cherry-flavored Bud Light through Goku. And so Goku and Miller Lite start running the Fate in one of the most unique fights in all of the series, with music that was super majestic and cool, environmental changes that combine many aesthetics we've never seen before, and with a singular questionable CGI sequence, we got absolute cinema. And honestly, I wish the fight was longer, because this was the true Battle of the Gods. Something I will say, however, is that Goku's pride is weird in this movie. In the anime version, we have a Goku who's fighting a being far superior to himself, not giving up until the very last moment or until the very last ounce of strength is sapped from his body. In the movie version, however,
I will not let you destroy my world!
I do give up. I've given all I've got, Lord Beerus, but there's still no way I can beat you.
So let me get this straight. Goku has pride in himself with respect to not obtaining Super Saiyan God all on his own, but he doesn't have enough pride to keep fighting until the absolute bitter end and just admits defeat when he knows his defeat means the Earth's literal destruction? Not my Goku. Luckily, Miller Lite has actually grown in appreciation for Earth and only blows up all the Arby's chains on his way out, actually doing the Earth a service. Overall, this movie was the introduction to a lot of new things in Dragon Ball. The introduction to Miller Lite, a character that had a really cool build-up, lore, and remains to be a constant force in Dragon Ball to this day, especially with everything that came after this event. It all started off really strong, showing us that Dragon Ball was not finished despite being absent for years. It would not be left with the legacy of some crappy live-action adaptation, but a series that many would love for a significant number of years to come. And Resurrection F fucks it up! This movie is just great. It's so fucking good. I mean, I love the fact that we linger on the Pilaf gang once again in this movie despite nobody liking their inclusion in any way, shape, or form. Why do they have a groomer, a blue guy from Avatar, and a furry fuck? I love that we basically spend the entire movie just waiting for the main fight to happen as if they actually needed the Z-Fighters to do shit to the Frieza squad. Because Frieza just kills all of them anyway. It also feels good that Yamcha wasn't even included because she was too busy playing baseball and making out with Puar, probably because she low-key bad as fuck. I mean, hear me out. She is a shapeshifter. Can you really blame him? I also love the fact that the fight between Goku and Frieza has little to no music. I can finally hear the sounds of my heavy breathing because of just how excited and thrilled I was to see this masterpiece on full. I also love that it doesn't carry any significant weight into the story whatsoever. It's basically just Frieza getting revived because the Frieza Force is low-key getting cooked. And Frieza, because he was butthurt about the Jets not winning again, decides to pick a fight with Goku and loses due to literal hubris! I also love that in the movie version, Super Saiyan Blue literally has no build-up whatsoever and makes me literally think about the Kool-Aid Man pouring blue hair dye onto the regular Super Saiyan. Not to mention that at its literal debut, it was getting its ass kicked! I also love that there are these weird CGI moments when we switch between 2D and 3D animation multiple times for budget reasons! Oh my god! It looks so good! The oversaturated colors that make my eyes turn red. I feel like I'm actually in the movie with how my current emotions reflect the bathroom at Taco Bell. I also love the point they try to make about Goku having a problem with letting down his guard when that is literally only a problem in this specific movie. And for Goku to learn this ass-pulled lesson, he needs to steal Vegeta's win because he is not allowed to have anything! Except for the Lorax and the obese clown from AdamandEve.com. I also love the environment, a place more desolate than the aura-forming mountains Piccolo goes to. I also love how you could delete this entire movie and virtually nothing happens to the series as a whole. You could replace this with an hour-long compilation of Frieza getting his ass beat by Broly, and I would be completely okay with that. Overall, I can't say much about this movie other than the fact that it is just so magnificently good. Okay, I said it. Can I see my family now?
More records.
What do you mean, more records? On the subject of good movies, we have Dragon Ball Super Broly. This movie opens up with a reintroduction of the Saiyan lore. Instead of having Bardock be schizophrenic, King Vegeta getting one-shot like a bitch, and Broly being a genetic freak because Goku cried as a baby, we instead get something like this. King Cold currently rules over the Saiyans as if they are slaves. But they can't really do anything about it since they are weak as shit and actually actively keep themselves that way. But we'll get back into that momentarily, because King Cold passes the mantle on to Frieza, who is definitely worse. First and foremost, he immediately exposes their plan to assassinate him by using the Scouters. Honestly, a pretty stupid fucking idea, given that they only have power levels of only 2K. They're honestly lucky that Frieza only decided to kill those guys and literally nobody else. But the reason I don't feel bad for them either is because they actively keep themselves weak because of hubris. God damn it. King Vegeta glazes his son's already receding hairline until he realizes that somebody else is standing right next to him in the same stage area as his son. How dare he! If only there wasn't like 10 other kids that were literally in the exact same area. Maybe you just didn't like the color green. So they do the only logical thing when trying to figure out a way to get out of the ice-cold slavery. Exile one of their greatest assets to a desolate planet to die. Bruh, it's no wonder Vegeta wanted the Saiyans dead. They are actively shooting themselves in the foot by doing this. Literally, there is no reason you should not try to raise Broly as a warrior who could potentially stand up to Frieza someday. And he actually does stand up to Frieza in his golden form. I get that Vegeta's father is prideful, but what's better? The survival of your race or the survival of your hubris? Well, Frieza ultimately answers that question for you. You stupid fucking monkey. But Paragus goes after Broly, crashes his ship, and eats another Saiyan man. Ayo. Meanwhile, Goku and Vegeta are training after the tournament of power. Goku wants to get stronger because he likes fighting strong dudes. Ayo. And Vegeta wants to get stronger because he doesn't want Daddy Goku to surpass him. Oh, and because Frieza is alive in this movie. Yeah. Remember when I said Resurrection F could be deleted and literally nothing would change? Meanwhile, Frieza's Goon Squad steals the Dragon Balls and the Dragon Radar. And what other noble quest does Frieza have for the Dragon Balls other than to no longer be 4'3"? Becoming LeBron James and making the ultimate comeback! Character development at its finest! Meanwhile, the big dude Goku and Vegeta are excited to fight over later is currently being saved by an old guy and a green girl who may or may not have an ass, but honestly, I have no idea. Speaking of which, who the hell was pregnant with Broly? Because I know damn well it wasn't Paragus' weak ass. Was Broly birthed by a 6'9" goth Latina and Paragus just got stuck with a child support? We'll never know. Also, the green girl has a crush on Broly. Yes, this is important, unfortunately. Meanwhile, Goku and Vegeta finally catch up to the Frieza's Goon Squad who stole the Dragon Balls. It is at this moment, however, that Frieza also arrives to take the Dragon Balls back, with Broly and Paragus. What the hell is that fit? From my understanding, I thought the Saiyans didn't like the color pink. I mean, Vegeta only wore it because it was his literal only option. But here we have Paragus, who either wears a cape with a thong or a pink skirt, where we don't know if he's wearing lingerie from Victoria's Secret or going full-on commando. And honestly, I'm low-key going with that second one, because bro's balls are probably rashy from not doing laundry for 30 years. So the three Saiyans finally meet. Paragus wants revenge on Vegeta since his father was low-key a dick by sending Broly over to the Gulag 3 decades ago. But don't worry, Broly still has not forgotten the cardinal sin that Goku portrayed many years ago, crying in his pod before he was sent to Earth. Fucking bitch! So the Saiyans get to clash. The fight actually starts off with Vegeta for once, and this has got to be one of the most glorious fights I've ever seen, not just in all of Dragon Ball, but also from Vegeta. This fight's pace is fantastic. It starts off slower as a steady tactical Vegeta asks with Broly, and Broly slowly adapting to Vegeta's strength. The music is also incredible and has a common theme throughout the entire movie, mostly centered around Broly. But eventually, we cut to Goku, who throws his baton into the ring. And what I love is the contrast between Goku and Vegeta's fighting styles. Vegeta dominates the battle, hitting his opponents with pure swagger badassery, while Goku is more fluid and loose, and is willing to let himself get hit more often so that he can learn his opponent's fighting style and adapt. Super Saiyan God is a great example of how Goku and Vegeta's fighting methods contrast, because Vegeta simply uses it to dominate Broly, while Goku uses it to redirect and reduce Broly's movement. And nobody can forget about the God Bind technique. But eventually, Broly once again overcomes this and starts beating Goku's ass. Vegeta, tag in! Tag in! Go alive!
Oh damn, this ice mountain actually tastes pretty good.
It is at this point where things are kicked up to a whole new gear. No more goofing around, no more jiffies. It's time to put this guy down. What I especially love about this entire sequence is how they managed to make Super Saiyan Blue actually look badass. Something past movies and even the anime often failed to do was finally being able to pull off Super Saiyan Blue as a legit transformation. The Broly movie managed to make it look like an absolute powerhouse, because this part of the fight was nothing but pure hands. And to top it all off, they actually utilized 3D animation in the best way possible. I've been saving this for when it was a little bit more relevant, but the artwork and animation in this movie are obviously spectacular, everyone knows that. But how they switch between multiple animators' art style with a looser Shintani animation works so damn well, with tighter artwork for stiller animation and frames, and looser animation for fluidity, motion, and impacts. It all just fits together like a masterful puzzle. But something I never expected was for the 3D animation in a Dragon Ball movie to actually look good. I low-key feel like a big reason for this is because instead of just using 3D animation as a crutch for budget cuts, they instead committed and pushed the 3D animation to the absolute limit. And they didn't keep switching between 2D animation over and over again and make it look like the Resurrection F movie, which also looks really good, by the way. It is at this point in the fight that Broly is being, at least somewhat, overpowered. But Frieza, afraid of the Jets losing again, immediately plays his trump card and kills Commando Paragus. Now, there is no stopping Broly at all. Consumed by the Broly booster, he wants that Saiyan booty. And I'm honestly surprised he didn't blow up the entire Earth with the absolute hellstorm he unleashes here. Not even the teamwork of Goku and Vegeta can put this dude down. Gallic Gun Kamehameha? Nah, he just tanks it. So Goku sends Broly after the most durable object in the series, the Golden Dragon. Sponsored by Spencer. So while Broly is busy pounding on that, Goku and Vegeta decide to do the fusion dance and end up failing twice. And if you know anything about the fusion cooldown rates, and finally, Gogeta, my glorious king, steps up to the challenge. And as if this fight could not get any better, this part takes it to a whole nother level somehow, going through a similar progression as Goku and Vegeta did, except far quicker. Broly ended up landing a few hits on Gogeta when he was Super Saiyan, but the second he went blue, it was simply over. To recap, this fight went from a simple skirmish between Vegeta and Broly to a dimension-breaking, soul-crushing, quick, salivating, and jaw-dropping masterpiece, and I am here for it! The fight simply speaks for itself, and it makes one thing loud and clear. Gogeta is an unstoppable force, and Broly is an unmovable object. But eventually, Gogeta gets to the point where he tries to finish off Broly for good, only for the Green Lady to teleport him back to the world he grew up on. Honestly, Green Lady is probably the worst part about this movie, and that is saying something. Her motivation literally makes no sense, saying that Broly is forced to fight, when in reality, Paragus actually wanted him to stop fighting a long time ago, and literally called Broly back, but he just kept doing it simply for the love of the game. Do you think anybody is stopping this man? I will say though, she does have a point about Paragus being slightly abusive. You see, with Broly having grown up in a desolate wasteland, Paragus naturally had to homeschool him. Yet after 40 years on that planet, Broly doesn't know how to count, Broly doesn't know proper manners, Broly doesn't even know what a coloring book is, and Broly doesn't even know how to make friends, because the one time he tries, his dad fucking shoots its ear off. I mean, forget the fact that they were in a constant life or death situation, and having a creature that quite literally consumes the entire planet could easily save you or provide you with more food. No! Training with that creature is a bigger waste of time than flashing your thong in the mirror, Paragus. And do you really think you could give Broly proper training in comparison to this creature? Get your weak ass out of here. And if that wasn't bad enough, Broly has some obvious anger issues, which causes him to go out of control sometimes. And Paragus' solution for this, rather than teaching Broly proper ki control, is a vibration collar.
It has the capacity to vibrate, and that's it.
But anyway, Goku visits Broly to ensure that he can run the monkey fade with him again someday, and remarks that Broly is probably stronger than Beerus, which we somehow hear is from the other side of the universe, and the movie ends with Goku fully accepting his Saiyan heritage by asking Broly to call him Kakarot. Overall, this has got to be one of the best Dragon Ball movies of all time. Apart from the many glazing details I've already gone over, there was hardly any side character BS, just pure unadulterated monkey hands. And whatever side characters were shown, they had hilarious roles, such as Miller Lite the babysitter, the Golden Dragon getting pounded after not making the NBA playoffs, and Paragus Pink Skirt. This movie had set a whole new bar for Dragon Ball, and it is going to be a long ass time before that bar is matched and surpassed once again. But that certainly doesn't mean they cannot try, because Dragon Ball Superhero has a completely different approach to any other Dragon Ball movie ever. Full-bloated CGI. That's right, Dragon Ball, the series that was notorious for having CGI worse than the PS3 game, is suddenly making a full movie with only CGI animation. And I will not lie, when I first saw the trailer for this movie, I thought Toei was smoking that Pilaf pack, because why in the world did they think that Dragon Ball fans wanted CGI animation? Well, I initially thought it was due to budget cuts, but in reality, this movie costed 4 times the amount of the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. So I'm assuming they probably had something else going on. But with the benefit of hindsight, this was actually a really great decision. But getting into the movie itself, it's a rehash of the Red Ribbon Army again. How is this fuck-ass organization still alive? Okay, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, but this rehash story of the Red Ribbon Army isn't actually all that bad. Now hear me out before you freak out! The story starts off with a descendant of Dr. Jiro, Dr. Hito, who basically has the same genius to create androids, but not the massive hate boner for Goku like his father. Instead of that hate boner being reserved for Goku, it is instead reserved for Marvel rivals. But unfortunately, he couldn't get the trademark for Emma Frost, so he instead settled for Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. Meanwhile, the actual Red Ribbon Army somehow is still alive by the grace of God, decides to recruit Dr. Hito to build some world-ending androids, because that decision has always ended well for them in the past, every single time. But Dr. Hito doesn't like the sound of that, and only agrees to work with them so that he can gain funding and resources to build his superhero robots. And what better way to test the strength of one of these robots than to put Piccolo into even greater aura farming debt, after he just got knocked out by the bug in the Tournament of Power. Because Piccolo gets used and abused in this fight. No diddy. Despite having aura farmed in the mountaintops for decades and training with Pan, he gets absolutely mollywopped. So he decides to disguise his sorry ass and investigates the Red Ribbon Army to find out what's going on. And he essentially learns that both Gammas I mentioned earlier, plus the all-new iPhone Cell Pro Max, is going to be unleashed upon the world for ultimate world domination. So to fight this recycled phone, because Gohan is not currently locked the fuck in, despite having to have just recently fought for the literal fate of his entire universe, plus probably feeling the absolute madness of the Broly movie, like, what the fuck do you mean, peaceful times, Gohan? You were taught this exact same lesson all the way back in Resurrection F! How much more useless can anything from Resurrection F be? More useless! Okay, I'm sorry. Jeez. So Piccolo asks Shenron to hook him up with Fanta sponsorship before these 4 fucks steal it. And instead of wishing Goku and Vegeta to the Earth to help with this situation, Bulma instead gets cosmic surgery so she doesn't end up old like at the end of Z. A fate worse than death itself. But conveniently enough, the Red Ribbon Army decides that the best way to go through with their plan of world domination is to lure in Gohan, fight the Gammas, and get defeated. Unfortunately for them, stealing the daughter of a man whose potential is locked behind one afternoon of training is not a good idea. So this is how Piccolo inadvertently convinces Gohan to re-lock the fuck in by using his own daughter as a hostage. So they take Gohan to the base, and he starts running the fade with Gamma 1, which is a pretty even fight, but not enough for Gohan to finish him off before running out of stamina. So Piccolo once again uses Pan's hostage situation to allow Gohan to get his ultimate form back and start cooking Gamma 1. And before Gamma 2 can butt in, Piccolo joins the fight. And with his newfound sponsorship, he is only at least able to somewhat match up with Gamma 2, and he eventually gets overpowered yet again. But then, with the power of Piccolo's security deposit and 401k, he unleashes the power of orange food coloring. And the gas is so overwhelming that Piccolo clenches his cheeks harder than Gohan and claps Gamma 2's cheeks. It's at this point that the Gammas finally realize that the guy whose daughter they stole and Piccolo are not the bad guys, but the guy with a suspicious looking mustache. Speaking of which, like a salty Jets fan, he decides to prematurely unleash iPhone Cell Pro Max V2 before it's ready to be shipped. And as a result, the spyware hasn't quite been removed and everything goes wrong. So everyone starts trying to take the messed up phone down with varying degrees of success, but at least fat-ass Gotenks has somewhat of a good use, even if that means making Piccolo look like an actual fraud in the process. Like, how did this do no damage? Then Gamma 2 decides to make the ultimate sacrifice play in order to end things once and for all. Unfortunately, all he manages to do is rip off the iPhone Cell Pro Max's screen protector. So Piccolo devises another plan to take out the iPhone once and for all. He will distract the rogue beast, while Gohan charges an attack to end it. AKA, Piccolo will get Gohan his 1 minute. The difference this time, however, is that this Chris Sabat is actually successful at doing so. But something else happens entirely. When Piccolo is on the absolute brink of death, the sight enrages Gohan to unleash something even further beyond. Beast Gohan. And with this newfound power, he manages to overpower the recycled iPhone and pull out his new special move to finish him off once and for all. Oh, and Bulma replaces her cosmic surgery with whatever Dr. Hito uses. I hope to God she isn't purple in the next movie. Overall, this movie definitely had some problems, but it was really damn good. And honestly, the worst part of it was just the fact that they rehashed Cell into nothing more than an obstacle for the Z Fighters to overcome. Also, Goku's characterization in this movie is really stupid. Goku not knowing what meditation is, despite having done it multiple times throughout the series, has to be one of the dumbest decisions from a writing standpoint. Especially when you consider the fact that Goku is literally a martial artist. I don't feel this is as much a problem in Dragon Ball Super, given that Goku literally gets a form that requires for him to be a complete master of martial arts, plus the absolute bag he is able to unload in the Tournament of Power when backed into a corner. But in this movie, they for some reason downscaled Goku and Vegeta to a big brute who punches relaxed and dude trying to be calm and collected and using his head rather than being pissed off. Like, bro, Goku uses his head all the time. What do you mean? Just because he is goofy on occasion does not mean he does not have legitimate battle genius. With that being said, all the characters in this movie felt like they had a legitimate role. Piccolo easily being the MVP of the movie. He hunted down the Red Ribbon Army base, came up with the plan for Pan to play along and make Gohan peep game and lock in, took the biggest ass beating of his life and managed to outlast everyone who also got beat by an absolute mile so that Gohan could achieve his beast form. He proved his worth and showed us that once again that he was willing to run the fade with anyone, no matter what. That is my glorious king, Piccolo. Now, I know that Orange Piccolo and Beast Gohan were kind of an asshole in this movie, especially when you could easily justify at this point Piccolo just getting strong enough to achieve these forms on his own, given that he literally never stopped training. But man, I do not care for one reason and one reason alone. Because it is fucking cool! Orange Piccolo being giga chatted up out of his fucking mind, running the fade with Gammas as easily as Gohan in Ultimate, it's fucking awesome! And you cannot tell me that you did not get hard when Gohan transformed into Beast. That sound was absolutely godly! Or the aura of Beast being one of the most majestic things I've seen in my life. It might be unearned, there might be no build-up, no plot, no bitches, but oh my god, are the transformations is freaking awesome. Something I will say, however, is that we got robbed of Teen Gotenks, and I cannot forgive that. Especially when they fused at the end of the movie, did it successfully, and they didn't even show them fuse. Those bastards! Overall, I'd rank these movies in this order. Dragon Ball Super Broly obviously being on top, Superhero following second, Battle of Gods being a close third, and Resurrection F being a hard last. At first, I thought that I liked Battle of Gods more than the superhero movie, but upon rewatching it, I've realized that this movie is a lot more consistent than Battle of Gods. It may not have a ton of lore or build up, but from an entertainment perspective and its overall focus on the plot at all times, it's just simply better. Battle of Gods low-key felt like it was dragging the first part of the movie before finally revealing the transformation just cuz. While the superhero movie felt like there was actively something going down at all times. Dragon Ball Super Broly being on top and Resurrection F being on the bottom honestly needs no further words. You already know why. Thanks for watching.